This simple strap turned my life around, from garage invention to multi-million-dollar business. Here's how I did it. In the world of YouTube inventors, there's no shortage of extremely smart inventors who love to tinker. And truthfully, I'm pretty jealous of their talent. But they're all missing one crucial thing. When do you make money? So I decided to figure it out myself. In 2020, at the beginning of COVID, I began to look at how I made money. I quickly realized I was making money in a really inefficient way. I remembered an invention idea I had for a flexible strap after my dad's hand got impaled by a runaway bungee hook. From there, I went to Home Depot and bought a bunch of different parts and Frankensteined them together in my garage to make some resemblance of what was going on up in my mind. Once that I saw that the concept worked in real life, I began to do really crummy sketches and drawings on Keynote on my computer. I spent weeks on Alibaba looking for components to make these straps in a somewhat aesthetic way. From there, I asked manufacturers on Alibaba to create the custom parts and assemblies and ship them to me. I ordered enough for 1,000 straps and I had them shipped to my door. That initial order cost me about $3,000. 2 months later, a crapload of components arrived at my door and I got to work right away assembling them and packaging them. Now listen, this is very important. It was bone-breaking work. I mean, my knuckles and fingers were bleeding by the end of every shift. However, I had to keep sight of the big picture. My plan was to build out a batch of straps as much as I could and sell them December 2020, right around the holiday. Some mornings I built straps, some mornings I researched patents, and every waking spare second I had at my day job, I was researching on YouTube. Whether that was e-commerce, trademarks, patents, sales funnels, I wanted to know it all. I drafted a provisional patent myself and stashed it away until I was ready to launch the website. I worked on product videos, often recruiting my wife to help.
Go. Just keep pulling. Pull.
I did my best to make product photos and infographics that were ready to deploy. After working on my Shopify store for about a month or so, finally it was December and I filed off my provisional patent application and I got ready to launch the store. Now this was a scary moment. I finally had the nerve to go public and tell my friends and family on Facebook what I'd been working on and give them the opportunity to buy the product. This was December 1st of 2020. To my surprise, by the end of that month, I had done about $1,500 in sales. Now granted, that was basically out of generosity from people that I knew, but it was a good liftoff and springboard to get me going on the next steps. About a month later, I launched a Kickstarter aiming to raise about $3,000. Meanwhile, a friend told me about TikTok, and like most people, I was hesitant. After all, it was like everything I had to post on Facebook and Instagram every day, but eventually I acquiesced and I got on TikTok. My first few videos flopped, like most people's do, but one day a video hit 20,000 views, and then I knew I was onto something. And then one day I posted a video, and it happened. I saw it start to gain traction during the day, but when I laid my head down to rest, that's when things really got crazy. I woke up the next morning to an extra 300,000 views on this single video. I got curious and I jumped onto Shopify to see how much I had done in sales. I had done $400 overnight. And then I got really curious, so I creeped over to Amazon for $1,000. In a single night, off the back of one semi-viral video, I had made my monthly salary while I was asleep. Now, it was go time. I took a few sick days off of work and I fulfilled the 85 orders I had racked up. At that point, I was sold out on Amazon, so I had to keep making straps and keep shipping them to FBA so that I could keep my inventory stocked. But this was all happening too fast. By now, I was almost out of inventory and somehow out of cash. I had gotten swindled into some bad marketing deals and some phony publications. My Kickstarter not only failed due to neglect, but I also got scammed by paying one of these "we'll make your Kickstarter successful" companies $750 and I got nothing out of it. Please do not pay these people. At this point, I was 6 or 7 months into the journey. I had spent some money, I had made some money, so my total net loss was about $4,000 out of my pocket. With less than a few hundred straps in my garage, I asked my wife if I could take a little more money and buy another 1,000 components to hand assemble another 1,000 straps. COVID significantly delayed my shipments and I spent months without inventory. Now, when this happens, don't sit around. Use the time to build up videos, more images, get ready to deploy when the inventory hits. Finally, some inventory arrived in the summer of 2021. I was back in the cycle of making straps, going viral, selling them for way too cheap, running back out of inventory. At this point, I didn't understand cash flow or payment terms to make the business run more seamlessly. I played inventory bumper cars for the entire year of 2021. By the end of that year, I had done about $75,000 in sales. In early 2022, I changed the design to utilize a strong steel spring instead of bungees to improve the design. This small change tripled my potential. It was faster, cheaper, and because it was a steel spring, it inspired confidence and people wanted to buy it. I then scrambled and assembled neighborhood kids to help me assemble the straps for $1 a strap, because at this point, almost anyone could do it. The work was still tough, but the money was good, so I was always able to find help if I searched really hard. A few months later, I got cocky, and I made a crucial mistake. I rushed trying to implement a new model into my mix of products, something bigger and stronger. I did it before I was ready, and did I ever pay the price? I tried to make a larger strap based off the same spring-loaded principles, and man, it was a disaster. My manufacturer sent straps to me that slipped and failed. I lost all my profit opportunity from a foolish mistake. I learned that summer that a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Meanwhile, back with my Keystone product, I made crucial changes to make the webbing thicker and stronger to inspire more confidence. And while I do not regret that decision, it goes without saying that with that many mistakes and changes, I was mostly without inventory for 2022. The total sales for that year was about $240,000. In early 2023, I was awkwardly selling anywhere from $300 a day to $3,000 a day. But somehow, I was able to convince my wife to let me quit my job. In this game, you learn to be persuasive. I commissioned a small fulfillment center in my town to assemble and ship my straps full time. That's when yet another bad shipment came my way. 6,000 straps landed at the warehouse, and every single one of them had to be inspected for slippage problems. Because the issue was not visibly identifiable, 6,000 straps had to be rigorously hand tested, and the only way to test these straps was to pull them as hard as humanly possible. It was back-breaking work. At that point, I knew I needed serious help, whether I could afford it or not. I found a guy named Steven. He lived close by and he was recently laid off due to COVID. We tested straps for 2 months straight, desperately trying to sell the good ones as we approved them. I got to know Steven really well those months, and I ended up being shocked with his business experience. After the inspection fiasco, we went back to my garage office and I asked him to become my new head of sales. We negotiated some fair terms, and he was more than happy to come on board. Now I'm gonna stop right here, because right now you're telling yourself, this sounds like a lot of work. And it was. I made a ton of mistakes along the way. And that's why I'm so passionate about inventing now. Along this journey, I started a podcast called Invent With Me, where Marcus and I aim to divulge all the secrets, missteps, and hacks to get an invention into market profitably. You can check out the podcast up here or listen anywhere that you get podcasts. Now, once you've listened to the podcast and you're ready to take it a step further, check out the Patreon in my description, where I have an exclusive Discord channel that is packed with a roster of inventing professionals, including patent attorneys, fulfillment professionals, current inventors, and not to mention, I'm up in there every single day helping inventors because it's something I'm passionate about. Now, the only way to access the Discord is through the Patreon. It's $6 a month, and for $6 a month, you'll never have to ask another question again. Now, let's get back to how I made my $1 million. With Steven now focusing on business, I took another swing at my heavy-duty straps. I spent months sourcing springs and components until I completely perfected the design. I was careful this time. Mid-July of 2023, I took a big gamble and I sent Steven to China. I was fed up with bad manufacturers. Don't ever settle for bad sourcing. Steven bravely went into uncharted territory and represented a company he had only known for a couple months. Steven absolutely crushed the meetings, and within a week's time, we had a better relationship with the manufacturer, higher quality product, and better pricing for the foreseeable future. Back in the United States, I was getting tired of shooting social media videos. I would go viral, sell out, burn through cash, and then do it all over again. I decided to hire a media ads partner and run our best performing organic posts with money behind them. We were soon spending about $200 a day in ads, but turning that into $2,000 a day in sales. I finally found consistency in my sales and room to breathe. Now, when it was time for Steven to leave China, he sealed the deal by confirming a $70,000 order, which I put 30% down on with cash from the sales of the straps that we were salvaging. The large shipment finally arrived from the new manufacturer in November 2023, and we went insane with sales. At one point, we were selling $5,000 a day through the holiday season. $5,000 a day. We closed out the year 2023 with just over $1 million in sales. And that, my friends, is how this simple product made me my first million. Today, Steven's back in LA running operations, and I work remotely from my office here in Miami. I also love to help inventors like you with podcasts and videos just like this. Now, once again, if you want to learn every step of this journey, all laid out, clear as day, just click on the podcast above. Now, once again, if you want a really tailored experience for your inventing journey, jump in the description, join in my Patreon, get involved in the feed, understand the tips and tricks, get involved in the Discord, get crazy insider tips, and there's also an option to do 60-minute consultations with me once a month. So continue following my journey on the podcast, and remember, I took the punches so that you don't have to. Happy inventing, everybody. See you on the next one.